But I didn't know how to say, "Hi, we've just met. Are you in a relationship?" And so I think he kind of sensed that. So he said, "Would you like to meet my girlfriend?"
It was an accident so stupid. It was like running with a pencil. It was not a risk he was taking. It was not a superhuman feat of anything. It was just an accident.
The Irvin family is always known for its optimistic approach and strong love bonds between the family members.
But I didn't know how to say, "Hi, we've just met. Are you in a relationship?" And so I think he kind of sensed that. So he said, "Would you like to meet my girlfriend?"
Their efforts to save animals are undeniable, but how their life takes a devastating turn that almost blows their whole future. Terry Irwin, wife of late Steve Irwin, who stood after the tragic death of her husband, Steve Irwin. But now, what is coming her way is totally shattering her into pieces. She raised her kids alone and tried hard to carry on Steve's legacy, but now one of her kids' tragic change left her brokenhearted. Join us as we are uncovering the saddest truths behind the smiling face of the Irvin family, beginning with the tragedy when Steve passed away. Terry Irwin's life was forever changed the day the weight of responsibility fell squarely on her shoulders. As a mother, wife, and partner of Steve Irwin, the world-renowned wildlife conservationist, I was left heartbroken when tragedy struck. Steve, whose infectious enthusiasm for wildlife earned him worldwide recognition and a place in people's hearts, was taken from her and their children far too soon. His death left an irreplaceable void in their lives and shattered the hearts of millions of fans around the world. To Terry, Steve was not just a husband, but the father of their two young children, Bindi and Robert, and the love of her life. His passing felt like the world had lost a hero.
Australian crocodile hunter Steve Irwin has died during a diving expedition near Port Douglas in Australia.
Well, it's reported the environmentalist was killed after being stabbed by a stingray barb in the chest while filming an underwater documentary on the Great Barrier Reef.
In interviews, Terry has shared her deep sorrow and disillusionment in the wake of Steve's death. At that time, she was not only mourning the loss of her beloved husband, but also grappling with the immense responsibility of carrying forward the legacy they had built together. She knew that Steve had always dreamed of creating a better world for animals, and that they had spent years building an institution that reflected that dream. Now it was up to her to keep that vision alive. Though devastated, Terry didn't let grief define her. She knew she couldn't let Steve's work end with his passing. She took bold, unwavering steps to ensure that their mission to protect endangered species and educate people about wildlife would continue. Despite the profound sadness she felt, Terry made it her life's work to carry on the incredible work Steve had started. She transformed the Australia Zoo into a global symbol of conservation and hope, proudly carrying on Steve's legacy as its guiding light. During her time of grief, Terry also showed remarkable strength in creating and managing the Wildlife Hospital, a facility dedicated to saving injured animals. The hospital's impact has been nothing short of monumental, with thousands of animals being treated and cared for since its inception. Terry's determination ensured that the Irwin family's mission to protect animals did not falter. With her relentless drive and compassion, she maintained focus on her children while navigating the weight of the zoo and its mission. Her children, Bindi and Robert, were her greatest motivation. In the midst of all her responsibilities, Terry remained focused on raising them with the same love and passion for wildlife that she and Steve had shared. When Steve was laid to rest, Bindi was only 8 years old. At that young age, she called her father her hero during his funeral.
He was the living superhero.
Bindi was just 8 years old when she lost her dad, crocodile hunter Steve Irwin.
Terry couldn't have been more proud of her daughter, who was already showing signs of carrying forward Steve's legacy. Robert, only 2 years old at the time, had to grow up much faster than any child should. Yet Terry's unwavering support helped him blossom into a young man who has followed in his father's footsteps in ways that would make Steve proud. In an emotional interview, Terry recalled how Robert, even at a young age, began to show a deep love and respect for wildlife. Terry shared that Robert's words and care for animals were eerily similar to Steve's, and she couldn't help but feel as though Steve's spirit was living on in him. she marveled at how Robert had inherited his father's eye for photography, especially wildlife photography. When Robert is out in the field, photographing crocodiles and other animals, Terry often sees a younger version of Steve. It brings her both joy and sorrow to witness, knowing that Steve would have been incredibly proud of the man Robert has become. Bindi, too, carried forward Steve's legacy. In 2008, she launched her own television series, Bindi, The Jungle Girl, which won the hearts of millions worldwide. Terry could not have been more thrilled with how her daughter had stepped up to continue Steve's work, educating people about the importance of conservation and wildlife protection. Seeing Bindi succeed and follow in Steve's footsteps filled Terry with pride, as she knew that Steve's legacy was in good hands. Meanwhile, Robert's passion for wildlife photography grew as well, and Terry knew that he, too, was carrying forward Steve's spirit. Whenever Robert is out in the field, snapping pictures of the wild creatures that Steve once so passionately protected, it feels like a living tribute to the work Steve started.
Robert, he is an Australian prince, the king of khaki.
Oh, yeah.
Is hands down one of the country's most eligible bachelors.
The Irwins invited Today Queensland reporter Andrea Crothers inside their home at Australia Zoo, dishing the dirt on family life and what Robert's really looking for in a special someone.
Terry often remarks that Robert looks so much like Steve in those moments, capturing not just animals, but the very essence of Steve's vision for wildlife conservation. It is a powerful reminder of how Steve's work and passion are still very much alive in his children. As the years passed, Terry's commitment to the mission she and Steve had started together became more unshakable. She made sure that the Irwin family's legacy was not only preserved, but expanded upon. Through the Australia Zoo, the Wildlife Hospital, and her work with her children, Terry made sure that Steve's life's work continued to grow and thrive. Today, the Irwin family name is synonymous with wildlife conservation, and Terry has been the driving force behind it. In public interviews, Terry has admitted that raising Bindi and Robert without Steve by her side has been an incredibly difficult journey. It wasn't easy, and there were many moments of doubt and sadness. However, her love for her children, combined with the strength she derived from Steve's memory, has made her unbreakable. Terry always reminds people that, although raising children without a partner is challenging, she is proud of how the Irwin family has grown stronger over the years. The connection that unites them, their shared love for animals, and the legacy they carry bind them together as a family with a common goal. Today, the Irwin family stands as a beacon of hope and strength. Terry's resilience, love, and dedication to her family's mission have helped to ensure that Steve's legacy continues to inspire and impact millions around the world. She is a testament to the power of love, determination, and the unbreakable bond between mother and children. The Irwin name is now more than just Steve's. It is a legacy carried on by his family, one that will last for generations. Terry's journey has not been without its struggles, but through it all, she has remained an unshakable pillar of strength for her children, the zoo, and the mission Steve started. Her leadership, love, and devotion have made the Irwin family a global symbol of hope for wildlife conservation. In public events, she has tearfully shared the sacrifices and the challenges of raising her children without her beloved partner. But she is proud of the family they have become. The Irwin legacy is now stronger than ever, thanks to Terry's tireless work and the unwavering support she has given to Bindi and Robert. The world knows the Irwin family for their dedication to protecting wildlife, but it is Terry's heart, strength, and love that hold it all together. The Irwin family, united by a common goal and bound by an unbreakable love, will continue Steve's work for years to come. Terry's strength is a reminder that, even in the face of unimaginable grief, love and determination can carry us forward, and legacies can continue to thrive, no matter the obstacles in our way. The metamorphosis of Robert Irwin is undeniable. He has grown into a figure so similar to his father, Steve Irwin.
You mentioned there your beautiful dad, who I think all of us feel like we had a relationship with him.
Can I tell you something interesting? This is probably the most powerful thing. People will come up to me, and it's a very emotional thing, and people will say, I grew up.
That it is impossible not to see the undeniable legacy of the famous crocodile hunter in him. As the son of the legendary Steve, Robert has taken up the mantle of wildlife conservation, carrying his father's dream forward into the world. Through his hard work, dedication, and passion, Robert has carved out his own path in the world of wildlife, all while honoring the memory of his father. Terry Irwin, his mother, played a crucial role in shaping Robert's confidence and guiding him toward his future as a wildlife photographer and conservationist. From an early age, she encouraged him to follow his instincts and pursue his love for animals. Her support helped him believe in himself, allowing Robert to grow into a world-class wildlife photographer. Terry made sure that her children, Robert and Bindi, stayed close to their father's passion, ensuring they bonded with the love for nature that defined Steve's life. Robert's love for nature began early. Born on December 1st, 2003 in Queensland, Australia, he was surrounded by wildlife from the moment he opened his eyes. His father, Steve Irwin, and his mother, Terry, raised him at the famous Australia Zoo. Steve and Terry often referred to it as heaven on earth, and it's easy to see why. The zoo, brimming with exotic animals, provided Robert with the unique opportunity to learn from his father firsthand. He watched and learned how to handle animals with care, from feeding reptiles to playing with them in the lush wildlife sanctuary that had been his home. Robert spent hours with his father, learning the delicate art of animal care. As a child, he saw the world of wildlife through the lens of Steve's love for nature. Steve was a natural when it came to handling creatures large and small, and Robert quickly followed in his footsteps. The connection Robert felt with the animals around him was something that only grew stronger as he got older. But his childhood was not without hardship. In 2006, the world was shaken by the sudden passing of Steve, leaving Robert and his family to grieve. Despite the immense sadness that followed, Terry made sure her children remained connected to Steve's passion for wildlife. She kept the fire of Steve's mission alive within their hearts, helping Robert stay close to his roots and to the animals he loved. While other children might have been overwhelmed by such a tragedy, Robert took a different approach. He grew stronger, drawing from his father's legacy, and stayed focused on the things that mattered to him: animals, conservation, and continuing the work Steve had started. Unlike other children, Robert was introduced to the world of television and wildlife at a very young age. At just 4 years old, he appeared on television with his sister Bindi and their mother Terry. The young Robert was already beginning to show the world his connection to wildlife, even though he was just a child.
Joined by a wildlife warrior here at the RO Red Carpet, you never know who you're going to run into, and as you mentioned off the top there.
As he matured, Robert's journey began to unfold in extraordinary ways. One of the most significant moments in his career came when he appeared on The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon. There, Robert showcased his incredible ability to handle a variety of exotic animals, including snakes, with ease and confidence. His bare-handed handling of these creatures made headlines, and his appearance on the show brought him worldwide fame. Robert's ability to interact with these wild animals, just as his father had, was a testament to the natural gift he had inherited. His calm demeanor and expertise with the animals won over audiences everywhere, cementing his place in the spotlight. Robert's rise to fame didn't stop there. His natural talent as a wildlife. The photographer quickly gained attention around the world. His breathtaking images captured the delicate beauty of animals and the often heartbreaking realities of their existence in the modern world. His photographs are now displayed in galleries around the globe, and his talent continues to be recognized by the international community. Robert's work has earned him numerous honors, including awards in prestigious wildlife photography competitions. In 2020, Robert's work reached new heights when he won first place in a wildlife photography competition. The striking image that earned him the top honor was a powerful photograph of a woodland area devastated by a blaze. The image, which captured the tragic effects of climate change, left a lasting impact on those who saw it. Through his photography, Robert not only showcased the beauty of nature, but also raised awareness about the urgent need for environmental conservation. His powerful images brought attention to endangered species and the impacts of human activity on the planet. Robert's passion for conservation extends beyond his photography. He runs programs to protect and breed endangered animals, working tirelessly to ensure that future generations will be able to experience the same wildlife he cherishes. He is dedicated to educating the public about the importance of preserving biodiversity and the vital role that every species plays in the world's ecosystems. Robert also frequently speaks at international conferences, where he shares his expertise and insights on conservation and wildlife care. What makes Robert's journey even more inspiring is how he has evolved from a young animal lover to a committed environmentalist. His life is a testament to the power of following one's passion and staying true to the values instilled in him by his father. Like Steve, Robert is using his platform to inspire others to care for animals, protect wildlife, and take action against the growing threats to the planet's ecosystems. As Robert's journey continues to unfold, his story serves as a powerful reminder of the importance of following in the footsteps of those who came before us. Through his work as a wildlife photographer and conservationist, Robert has shown that he is not only his father's son, but also his own man, with a unique vision and drive to make a difference in the world. His accomplishments speak volumes about his commitment to conservation and his deep love for the natural world. In a world where the future of wildlife is uncertain, Robert Irwin's work stands as a beacon of hope. He has taken the legacy of his father, Steve, and transformed it into something even greater, an ongoing movement to preserve the planet and its fragile ecosystems. Robert is no longer just a son carrying on his father's work. He is a leader in the field of wildlife conservation, a world-renowned photographer, and a passionate environmentalist. Through his dedication, he is ensuring that Steve Irwin's dream of a better world for animals and humans alike will continue for generations to come. The Irwin family's remarkable efforts in conservation, wildlife care, and dedication to preserving nature are nothing short of inspiring. Yet, behind the strength of this family, there is one woman who stands as the true backbone of it all, Terry Irwin. Throughout countless challenges, including overwhelming love, tragedy, and sacrifice,
met Steve at the zoo, and we see this fantastic photo of the two of you from the day you met, right? Is it so much fun kind of taking a trip down memory lane and looking at that? And it's got to be so great for you guys too to see that.
Yeah, it is really nice, but interestingly enough,
Terry has not only kept the family's legacy alive, but has also made sure her children carried it forward with the same passion that Steve Irwin once had. Terry's life has been filled with heartache, strength, and moments of immense pride. It's because of her tireless effort that the Irwin name continues to shine brightly in the world of wildlife conservation. After the sudden loss of her beloved husband, Steve, in 2006, Terry was left to raise two young children on her own. Losing Steve was a devastating blow, not only personally, but also to the conservation movement that Steve had passionately championed for years. But Terry, even in the face of such overwhelming grief, remained steadfast in her mission to continue Steve's work. She understood that the legacy they had built together at Australia Zoo needed to be preserved for the future, for their children, for wildlife, and for generations to come. She was determined that her children would grow up knowing and appreciating the same love for nature that Steve had instilled in her and shared with the world. Terry knew raising Robert and Bindi without Steve by her side wouldn't be easy. Yet, she stepped up and raised them to be not just leaders in the world of conservation, but also compassionate and caring individuals. Throughout the years, Terry has been a rock, instilling in her children the values of wildlife, protection, environmental stewardship, and love for all living creatures. Raising them while grieving the loss of her husband was an immense challenge, but Terry never wavered in her resolve to make sure that their family's mission carried on. Bindi and Robert grew up in the spotlight as the children of a global icon, Steve Irwin, the crocodile hunter. It's impossible to overstate the impact that Steve had on the world, his enthusiasm, his love for wildlife, and his ability to make people care about animals. Yet Terry made sure her children didn't feel the pressure of living in their father's shadow. Instead, she supported them as they discovered their own paths, their own unique ways to honor Steve's legacy. Robert, in particular, has been in the media's spotlight from a young age. As Steve's son, Robert was always going to be a subject of public interest, but what Terry did for him was make sure he found his own voice, his own way to express the same love for wildlife that his father had. From a young age, Robert showed great promise in wildlife photography. His ability to capture the beauty of nature, even in moments of heartbreak, is a testament to the way his father inspired him to look at the world. One of Robert's most notable achievements came when his photograph of the forest destroyed by wildfire went viral. The image quickly became a symbol of the environmental devastation caused by climate change, and it was displayed in galleries around the world. It was a powerful and haunting image, one that spoke to Robert's deep understanding of the fragility of nature. It was clear that Robert was continuing his father's legacy, but he was doing so through his own lens, both literally and figuratively. He was not simply Steve's son. He had become a force of his own in the world of wildlife conservation. In interviews, Terry spoke proudly about Robert's growing passion for wildlife photography, noting that his work demonstrated his deep love for nature and the lessons he had learned from his father. Terry's support and guidance helped Robert find his own path, but raising her children was not without its challenges. The grief of losing Steve weighed heavily on her, but she knew that Robert and Bindi needed to see that their father's work and vision were not just a part of their past, but were alive and growing in the present. At times, Terry must have felt that it was a nearly impossible task, but her strength was unwavering. She worked tirelessly to ensure that both of her children were equipped to carry forward the love for wildlife that Steve had worked so hard to instill in them. She knew that they had a unique opportunity to shape the future of wildlife conservation, and she made sure they understood the importance of what they had inherited. One of the most emotional moments for Terry came when she saw Robert on television for the first time, handling a large serpent on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon.
First of all, I've got a pretty interesting one. Now, this is actually right back here. This is a millipede.
At just 14 years old, Robert was already stepping into the spotlight as a young conservationist in his own right. Watching her son on screen, confidently handling the snake just as Steve had done countless times before, filled Terry with an overwhelming sense of pride. She could hardly believe that the young boy she had raised was now standing in front of millions of people, carrying on his father's work with such poise and passion. Terry later admitted in interviews that she couldn't help but shed tears of pride when she saw Robert handling the serpent. She knew that Steve would have been incredibly proud to see his son following in his footsteps. It was a beautiful moment for Terry, a sign that the legacy of Steve Irwin was not just about his memory, it was about the continuation of his work and the positive impact he had made on the world. Robert was carrying that torch forward, and Terry was there to support him every step of the way. Meanwhile, Bindi, Steve, and Terry's daughter has also blossomed into a remarkable woman. Bindi, who grew up in front of the cameras just like her brother, has made her own mark on the world as a conservationist, television personality, and environmental advocate. Through her own efforts, she continues her father's legacy by educating the world about the importance of protecting wildlife. Like Steve, Bindi is a passionate advocate for animals, using her platform to raise awareness about endangered species, the impact of habitat destruction, and the urgent need for climate action. Terry has often spoken of how proud she is of her children, especially during moments when she sees them continuing Steve's work. In a heart-wrenching interview, she shared that she knows Steve would have been so proud to see the people Robert and Bindi have become. She could feel Steve's presence in every step they took, in the way they spoke about wildlife, in the way they fought to protect endangered species. It was clear that Steve's spirit was alive in them, both. At events marking Steve's anniversary, when footage of his amazing work is shown on a projector, Terry can't help but shed tears. While the grief of losing her husband will always be a part of her, the pride she feels for their children is undeniable. When footage aired of Robert handling animals, his own unique way of connecting with the creatures of the wild,
I've actually done a few rescues with echidnas. Echidnas will get themselves into very compromising situations.
Terry's heart swelled with pride. She knew that Steve would have been beaming with joy to see their children continuing his work in such a powerful and meaningful way. The Irwin family's efforts to save wildlife during the devastating bushfires in Australia are another testament to their commitment to conservation. In 2019, when wildfires ravaged vast parts of the country. The Irwin family and the Australia Zoo team worked around the clock to rescue animals, save habitats, and protect wildlife. In the wake of the fires, they saved more than 990,000 animals, an incredible effort that further solidified their place as global leaders in wildlife care. It wasn't just about responding to the fires. It was about taking action in a time of crisis and showing the world that protecting wildlife was more important than ever. Robert, who had already become an advocate for animals on a global level, took on an even greater role during this time. His work in the aftermath of the bushfires brought attention to the urgent need for environmental protection and wildlife conservation. He became a voice for the voiceless, speaking out about climate change and its devastating effects on wildlife. Terry, Bindi, and Robert worked tirelessly together, setting an example of how a family can come together in the face of tragedy to make a real difference. The Irwin family's dedication to wildlife conservation and their incredible efforts to protect the environment are nothing short of heroic. Terry, Robert, and Bindi have made an indelible mark on the world, proving that one family, with love, sacrifice, and determination, can change the course of history. They have dedicated their lives to protecting wildlife and preserving nature, and their work continues to inspire millions around the world. Terry Irwin's strength, Robert's dedication, and Bindi's advocacy are all a reflection of the incredible family that Steve Irwin created. Their efforts to preserve wildlife, save endangered species, and protect the planet are a beacon of hope in a world facing environmental challenges. The Irwin family's legacy is one of love, compassion, and action, a legacy that will continue to inspire and guide future generations. Did you enjoy the video? Share your thoughts in the comments section.